everyone, it's Taylor here today. Thanks for joining me for this quick video on how I created this sweet and simple set of Halloween cards using our mini strip stamp and coordinating die. You can see that those sentiments are all part of one stamp. When you stamp them, those 6 alignment squares will stamp with the sentiments, and you'll use those alignment squares to line up the die, cutting all of your sentiments in one pass through your die cut machine. I'm also showing you some of the pattern papers in the Build-A-Scene Halloween paper pack that I'll be using on this project. I'm starting with several colors of cardstock to match the pattern paper, and it's important to note that our pattern paper is printed to match our cardstock, so that makes it easy to pick out those solid colors to match your project. I have Oreo in my mini Misty here, and I'm going to condition my cardstock with a powder tool before I emboss the sentiments with Versamark. I will ink up that stamp then and close the lid, and you can see I get a nice impression first time. You can see those alignment squares off to the side. You do want to make sure that you stamp those each time with our strip sentiment sets because you are going to use those to line them up with the die. So now I'm just heat setting those after embossing with our fine detail embossing powder. I'm going to go ahead and do the several other colors. This time I'm doing fine detail black embossing powder on the remainder of the colors except the purple here. I will do white on that as well as the black. So you can see I have several of those all finished, and now we are ready to send them through the die cut machine. I'm going to show you just how easy this is. So you have this die and the squares that you've embossed. You can see they line up just perfectly with the alignment squares on the die, and you can tape that in place with a little bit of removable tape, and all of those sentiments are going to fall out of that die perfectly centered right where you need them. So that makes it really simple to go ahead and do all the rest of these colors, and then you're left with tons of sentiments to mix and match like we'll do on this set of cards. All of that goodness came in really not much time at all, and I had several left over after this that I can use on future projects. So now I have cut several sugar cube card bases, and I'm using a bone folder to crease those down the center. I have a little bit of Oreo liquid watercolor that I am dropping onto an acrylic block with 1 drop of water. You can see I'm just using my paintbrush to flick those across the card, creating kind of a random splatter pattern that will just add a little bit of extra detail to the background of our cards. And now I have all of my sentiment strips ready to go. I'm going to cut several strips of pattern paper varying from 3/8 of an inch all the way up to 1/2 an inch. I've cut those down to anywhere from 2.5 to 3 inches long, and you can kind of vary that just depending on how you want those to stack. You can see I'm testing it out here before I cut those across in the horizontal way, exactly the size that I want them. So after gathering all of my supplies, I can go ahead and put my cards together. I'm just going to arrange those strips before I decide what sentiments to put and before I adhere anything. I always like to lay things out just to see exactly what kind of spacing I want before I glue anything down. Now, if you're working from something that's already been created, you could certainly glue as you go if you're looking at a pattern. But I do always like to just kind of loosely lay things out, and then sometimes things change when I go ahead and start to adhere them. It just gives me the opportunity and option to change them if I want to. So now I'm using foam adhesive dots to adhere those sentiments, and I've decided to combine some of the sentiments together, stacking those depending on what I want to say for each of these projects. And when that's all finished, we have 5 beautiful, simple, easy cards that you can send out for Halloween. I do want to add just a little bit something more to my project, so I've die cut some of the spiders and a few ghosts to add depending on whether my sentiment says from your ghoul friend. I put the ghost on the ones that say boo to you. Just lots of different opportunities for embellishing those with small die cuts that you have, maybe something from our Little Bits collection. Here I have a few little bats. You can see how all of those look now that they're finished and they're ready to pop in the mail to friends and family. Thanks for tuning in for today's video. You can find all of these products at the Tailored Expressions web store at tailoredexpressions.com.